We are live. One like, one person in the house. There she is. Hey, Janie, how are you? Janie and Jesse, good. How are you? I just checked Messenger to make sure that you were going to be here tonight. I'm so glad that you are here, Jane. Jesse, good seeing you. Motorboat 175, how are you? Can you guys hear me all right? You guys hear me say hello or no? Hopefully. Yep. Okay. All right. What's up, 007? Well, hello to you. I don't know if Jane or Jesse heard me say hi, but I did say hi. I'm very close. It's crazy. I can't believe it. Wesley September, how are you? I'm doing good. Monkey Crap, how are you? Well, usually there's that lag that you that happens, Janie. So I wanted to make sure, but I also wanted to make sure that you're going to be here tonight. So, I figure we'll do a quick. I got a text from Shackleneck, my buddy Brett. Claire Harris, how are you? Sonia, how are you? Brian Mons, what's up, buddy? 124, how are you? Jess B. So got a text from Mr. Shackleneck, and he's doing better every day. I'm going to call him and talk to him tomorrow and see how everything is. So I told him that I'd give you guys an update on him. Strong as hell. I mean, who has a stroke and recovers like that? Like, I'm just so happy for him. He's so strong. You know the answer to that, Jim Baker. It's not even funny. I'm not even going to respond to dumb questions like that anymore. What's going on? Adam Condon, how are you? But good to see you, Jimmy Baker. Always a pleasure, even when you got some fucked up questions. Sniff it out. How are you, buddy? Wiley, what's going on, my friend? Simone, hello, dear. Shauna Rain, how are you? Troy, Trisha Ann. So I got some really good Lizo stories. I've got a assortment of. This is what I had last week. This is what I didn't get to last week, right? And this is what I have fresh for this week. So I've got a pretty good stack there. Got some awesome, I must say, I think they're pretty awesome Lizo experiences for tonight. So Arabic! What's going on, my brother? I don't even know. I don't go by numbers of stories. Christy Strom, how are you? What's up, David? How are you, my friend? Thank you very much. Buddy, come on. I think Tigger's coming in. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on. He's just literally sitting at the door looking at me. I got to get him to turn around, because if I don't get him to turn around, he will bite me. Come here. Come here. You want to say hi to everybody? Want to say hi to everybody? Huh? Come here. Everybody wants to say hi to you. Oh, everybody wants to say hi to you. Say hi, everybody. Say hi. Yeah. Yeah. Nice rat. Jesus Christ. Magdalene, how are you? Julie, how are you? I'm doing good, Mega. I'm doing good. Is that 5 rings early tonight? What's up, brother? Ow, you fuck. He just peeled out on my knee. We had a thunderstorm today. One crack of thunder, probably like, I don't know, 15 minutes of torrential downpour. But that one crack of thunder set Tigger into like therapy for months now. He fucking hates it. You know, Shawnee, you just got to be really careful of what videos are on YouTube. You know, like I see them too. I believe it or not, I watch the same YouTube you guys watch, and I have not seen anything good as of late for believable videos on YouTube of the paranormal. A lot of it's recycled. Like, I'm wondering how long it's going to be before we see that dreaded foot of the. You guys will know. People will know that's been in the community for years. But remember that one paw? There's just this paw in a fucking pile of mud. And like every 4 years, it goes away and then resurfaces, and it's a new thing. It's a huge thing every 4 years. Oh my God, look at that. What's up, Edbot? Delirium, how are you? So glad that you're here with us tonight. What's up, Jacob Hilliard? How are you, brother? I know you have, Benzilla. Tyler, RM Bestel, or wait, RM Best. God dang it, Bestable. Johnny Ohm. I like spending my nights here too. Believe it or not. My cat is just sitting here staring at me. I hate when he does that shit. The gorillas. I just got the finally I ordered this like German vinyl Humans by Gorillas, their album The Humans, some deluxe set. It finally came in. I was so happy. It's like 14 vinyl records in a book. Skinwalkers, are you nuts? Ye not a Lucy? It's downstairs. I'd have to stop the live and pick it up and bring it up. Well, Johnny Ohm, that sounds like you had a great time. I'm so glad for you. I only wish we could have spent the time together. I'm just kidding. All right. Let's start the night off with Brian Mons in his puck wedgie. Brian Mons has a puck wedgie in his underoos. In order to protect myself, I must omit some details, but here it is. Years ago, I encountered a male who had out in... hang on a second. Motorcycle's going to go by. I'm pretty loud. I don't know if you guys heard it. Years ago, I encountered a male who had, out of the blue, in front of his coworkers, pulled out his pocket knife, then start repeatedly slashing at his, trying to end. By the time I got to him, he was covered in dried blood enough to where I could not read any of his tattoos on his chest or arms. He did survive. Then something happened that has been burned into my brain, something I could describe as almost unreal. He couldn't speak. He had destroyed his larynx and had to keep his head pointed down due to his injuries. I got down on one knee to look into his eyes and talk to him. As I looked into his eyes, I felt hypnotized and like I was looking into the eyes of something primal, more than human. His gaze seemed to look deep into my soul, his eyes burning bright. The color I'd describe as yellow/ember. I can still feel and still see his eyes. It was an intense, out of this world experience, and we looked into each other's eyes for maybe 5 seconds, but it felt like we had exchanged a lifetime of unspoken words. I learned a few months afterward he annihilated his whole family, wife, sons, daughter, and even his dog before ending his own. So, did a demon take over his life? I quite think so. Not a happy story right there. Definitely not anything. Janie, my Connecticut channel mother. Andy Davis, how are you? This one goes out to Jane because it's from Connecticut. I had actually seen this thing twice. The first time I saw it was at night. For some context, when I was little, I always used to stare out my window at night that faced a wooded grove that was 100 yards or so away from the house and fall asleep staring out of the window due to how peaceful the night was in the woods. So one night when I was maybe 8 or 9, I'm staring out the window and suddenly I noticed 2 yellow lights in the woods. At first, I'm confused, thinking it was a car somehow in the trees. But as I stared more, the yellow lights disappeared and then reappeared in the same spot, almost like blinking eyes. As my groggy brain took a closer look at these lights, I started to notice other odd things, like how the tree these lights were showing up in was thicker than I remember, and how there was a giant wolf head in the tree, and that the yellow lights aligned with the head to be its eyes. This is when I was getting nervous and I bumped my head on the window accidentally as I was backing away. Well, as soon as my head hit the window, the wolf head turned suddenly toward my window and the rest of the creature's body started to emerge from behind the tree. The body was hard to see at first because it was jet black and perfectly blended into the shadows. But now it was stepping out into the moonlight and I'm freaking out because this wolf was on 2 legs. And the top of its wolf head was almost a good 10 feet off the ground. The wolf stayed in the tree line, but was still very much visible from my window, and I could tell that it knew where I was, even though there were no lights on outside for it to see me with. By this point, I had seen it more than enough, so I quickly shut the curtains and hid under my covers the whole rest of the night, waiting to hear clawing at the window before it got me. Fortunately, none of that happened. I stayed buried under the covers until my alarm clock went off the next morning. I never told a soul about it because although I saw it myself, I still couldn't believe what happened. The second time I had seen it was 12 years later. During the 4th of July celebration, my dad and I were setting off fireworks in the backyard to celebrate. And when we were done with the fireworks show, as my dad and I were packing up for the night, I saw the same pitch black wolf head peek out from behind the shed with those same glowing yellow eyes. The head was absolutely massive, and it was every bit the size of a 3-foot wide window on the side of the house. When it saw me staring at it, it quickly ducked its head behind the shed. I told my dad that there was a big black dog there, and he chalked it up to coyote. Well, if it was a coyote, then how did it manage to stand on its 2 legs? And how did the face take up almost the entirety of a 3-foot window? I don't know for sure what I saw, but it does match the descriptions that have been given for Dogman by other supposed witnesses. So until I see otherwise, I'm going to say that's what it was. I saw a Dogman. It was terrifying to see both times, and I never again want to see it. Thank you. Clint, thank you so much, brother. I truly appreciate you. Truly appreciate you. Maggie Mayhem, how are you? Oh, Simone, I hope you're taking antibiotics. Nikola Tesla, how are you, brother? Tyler, I don't know if you heard me, but hi, how are you? James' mom. James, what? James. Damn it, it's going fast. James 69, how are you, brother? Margie. Yeah, Clint Eastwood is old, though. I mean, it would suck, but maybe it's his time. Who knows? You should have got it, Tyler. You should have got it and wore it with pride. A Honda Talon. Is that a motorcycle? Jay Williams. Holy shit. I don't know if it's DJ Williams, but I love Jay Williams' channel. But how are you? Cynthia, thank you so much. Cheers from LA. And Clint, thank you once more. Truly appreciate you. OG, how are you? Key West Cat Lady, Carol Hollenbeck, how are you? No, I meant Jay Williams. Jay Williams has a YouTube channel. He's like this. He's pretty good. I don't know if he's still on. I don't watch cryptid shows. Holy shit, brother. Thank you. I don't watch cryptid shows because my brain just all I think about is cryptids and conspiracy and stuff. But he's got like this cool show talking about shit that he did when he was younger that I can relate to. SDL, how are you, buddy? Aramic, thank you so much. Thank you. Time is it? 17. All right, we got plenty of time. Before we get a lot lizard story. So I got this really long experience. It's a paranormal experience. Is Bigfoot Gigantopithecus? I'm not really sure, Reed. I would say maybe, but I don't think so. I think they're two different things. Two different entities, creatures, all in one. Gigantopithecus is very large. But I think Bigfoot has a different kind of way. Herman, Audette, thank you so much, my friend. Wow, thank you. I appreciate you. Jordan Stevens, how are you? I mean, I to be honest with you, I used to think about is the Gigantopithecus Bigfoot. And then I thought about, okay, well, if that's the case, could the short-faced bear, if Gigantopithecus is still alive, could the short-faced bear still be alive? And could that be a dogman or what we call werewolf on the channel? But I think all in all, I think they're different entities completely. I am clean and so is my house. That's awesome. I'll tell you what, I hadn't taken a shower until like 9:30 tonight. I had just been busting ass all night and on the channel. So it felt good to take a shower before the live. Shackle Neck, what's up? Wait, where? I didn't see him. Is he in here? How come I didn't see him? I didn't see Shackleneck. Oh, yeah, he's just watching. He's not typing today. There is no way he's typing. No, I talked to him today too, Andy. It must have been when when Arabic gave a membership out. What's up, Ginger? How are you, my friend? Bob P. He's doing better. I'm going to call him tomorrow. Amanda Crazy Life. How are you, dear? Jinn, well, I think they're both the same. Jinn is Muslim or Islamic. Demon is more like a Catholic or Christian thing. So I'd say about the same. There's really no difference. Just one's Islamic, Muslim. And I did an upload talking about it the other day. Talking about hyperdimensional beings and the comparison. And there's like 10 different cultures and 10 different traditions that match up all together, naming them. So Jinn is pretty much a demon. But in Muslim or Islamic lore, a jinn can be neutral as well. There's lore that God had created the jinn, and it was so pure or hot or whatever that it was just smoke. So pretty much it's how you interpret the religious, the theology of it. You know what I mean? It's basically what that is. Jay Cortez, what's up, my friend? I think I saw Delirium, but I haven't seen him again. So I just want to make sure they know that I said hi, Delirium. All right, I got this super long paranormal one, and then we'll jump into a lot lizard story. The beginning. My paranormal experiences started when I was roughly 6 years old. My first experience was very unexpected since at this point in my life, I didn't really know about the paranormal or spirits. One evening, I was watching TV by myself in the living room while my parents were napping. As I am watching, I suddenly felt a chill on the back of my neck, followed by what felt like someone pushing a firm single finger straight down the top of my shoulder. As that happened, simultaneously, I heard someone whisper, "Hello," behind my right ear. At that, I sprinted into my parents' room, telling them that I heard someone whisper into my ear and that someone was in the house. They brushed me off and didn't come and check. To this day, I wonder if this event somehow opened me up to years of events that followed. Closet encounter. After this incident, unexplainable things started to happen in my house. My stepdad liked to scare me from time to time, and he would hide in my closet before bed and poke at my feet to scare me. One night before bed, I checked the closet and then closed it. Nobody was in there. Not long after I lied down, I could hear the door to my closet slide open. When I looked at the dark crack in the closet, I saw red eyes staring back at me. I ran, flicked on the lights, and opened the door thinking that my stepdad was trying to scare me again, but no one was in there, and the eyes were gone as well. Eyes in the bathroom vent. Another experience I would have frequently involved the bathroom. When I took a bath, I would always see the same red eyes from the closet in the vent above the bathtub watching me. It made me feel extremely uncomfortable. I spent most of my bath throwing a wet cloth at the vent. Usually, whenever I hit it dead on, the eyes would disappear. Until the next time I had a bath, that is. My first apparition. One night, my older brother and I were hanging out playing games. He asked me to go upstairs and grab him a cup of ice cubes. He liked to eat them. As I am walking up the staircase, I look toward the railing that overlooked the downstairs. Standing there, leading into the wooden railings, was a figure dressed in a long, heavy-looking hooded robe, its face shrouded in blackness. I couldn't see any defining features. I don't know why, but I continued to walk up the stairs, but I noticed that as I moved, this entity stopped leaning on the rail and began mimicking my movements in reverse. Every step I took, it would take one step backward toward the kitchen. When I reached the top of the stairs, the figure had made it to the doorway of our kitchen where it stood. It glanced in my direction and then vanished right before my eyes. Second apparition. I saw this figure one more time while living on this property. I was upstairs on the computer playing World of Warcraft, which had just recently been released. As I'm playing, I start hearing crackling sounds, like someone crackling their knuckles. I thought I was alone in the house at the time, so it struck me odd. I got up and opened the door in the hallway that led to the same staircase and kitchen area. When I opened the door, the figure was standing at the end of the hall. It was looking directly at me, but I could hear the cracking sound again, realizing that it was coming from this entity. I slammed the door shut and locked it. About 10 seconds after shutting the door, I had heard strange sounds that I cannot even describe. It was followed by what sounded like a door being pushed hard, like a big gust of wind had hit it. To this day, I have no idea who or what that was, why it was there, or if it was trying to connect with me. I always wonder if this entity may be the same one with the red eyes I had seen previously. Was it getting closer to me? The babysitter. The next part, I'm unsure about sharing, but since I am describing my weird upbringing, I might as well. I'm not sure if this person contributed to the weirdness I experienced, but she definitely pushed my brother and me to seek answers on our own, and you will see why. My babysitter, I'm going to admit her name, was someone who had connections to our family. Her sister worked on our farm, and she had her own horses stabled there. So her mother often came along. After a while of her being around, she ended up becoming our full-time sitter. Not long after she started sitting for us, she told us that she was a witch. She showed us really some old Polaroids of her and two friends performing some kind of ritual with symbols carved into a table. She also showed us things she could do, like moving objects around without being touched. For a long time, I thought this was just a fun story or tricks, but one day I went inside from playing in the garage and made my way upstairs. She was preparing dinner. She was unaware I was nearby. I witnessed one of our knives on the counter slide about 2 feet across straight into her hands. And she just continued cutting as if nothing abnormal had happened. She never saw that I had noticed, and I never brought it up. But what that sparked in me was curiosity, and because of it, I started to research black magic. After looking around online with my brother, we stumbled onto a website that gave us directions on how to perform black magic rituals, so we attempted some on our own. We went outside, drew a pentagram and fallen leaves, placed a statue in the middle, and began to read off the ritual words we had written down. It was at this moment that our sitter looked outside, saw what we were doing, ran out screaming at us to stop. She started kicking the leaves everywhere and taking the statue we had placed. She scolded us, saying that she had no idea what we were playing with and to never do something like that again. Not long after, she stopped sitting for us, and sadly, she passed away not too long after that. While this part wasn't necessarily paranormal, I think the context is needed to understand how my upbringing was and how these events may have created a domino effect. My last experience at this property was tame, but still creepy. I was getting ready for school in the morning, and I went to grab my hair comb and just flicked it off the counter and hit the wall behind me. I know it didn't just fall. No, this brings up to the end of the first house we moved to rural BC near Lone Butte. I would like to note that these experiences so far are just the ones I could easily remember. They don't include the noises we would hear, voices saying my name when nobody was home, shadows of people in my peripheral, and feelings of being watched or sometimes touched. The move to Lone Butte at this point in my life, we had packed up and moved about 5 hours north to the outskirts of Lone Butte, British Columbia. About 20-minute drive from our place, the property we moved to sat roughly 100 acres of woodland. We were in the middle of nowhere, and our closest neighbors were definitely a good distance. Anyway, here are my main experiences at this house. I won't include everything, as there are just too many experiences of footsteps, things moving by themselves around the house, people talking when alone, shadows when nobody is home. You get the point. The closet slamming, terrible timing. My first major experience at the new house was with my brother, who is a skeptical person, and my stepsister. We're watching The Grudge at the time, and all of a sudden the upstairs closet starts violently slamming open and closed for a while. This terrified all of us, and we didn't know what to do, so we just ran outside and waited for our parents to come back home. I ended up going back inside and grabbing shoes since the gravel was hurting my feet. When I went inside, I poked my head around the corner towards the living room and just saw the scene The Grudge played, where it was the close-up of her eyeballing, or of her eyeball rolling from the back of her head to stare at you. I always found that timing so perfect, almost comical. Schoolhouse in the woods. So quick context of the property. I was unaware of this until we moved a year later. Property we lived on in Lone Butte was 100 acres, and it was old native land. The property had 2 barns, one for horses and one was a storage/workshop, but it wasn't always just a barn for storage. It used to be an old school where a Catholic priest would bring native children and force them lessons on Christ. This place on the property was burnt down at one point and rebuilt. It even had an old desk and chair stacked up in the corner. There was rumors I've heard of possible mass graves being tied to this place, and these schoolhouses are not particularly kind towards native children. Anyway, my experiences in the schoolhouse along with my brother is that we both saw faces of kids in the glass, and lights from the workshop would randomly turn on and off. We also found what I think was a junkyard for vintage cars and such in the woods. My Dogman experience. One night I was in the hot tub on the deck outside just watching the woods, taking in the silence. It was wintertime, and we had just recently had a snowfall and left around knee-high deep snow. It was around 2 or 3, and out of nowhere, this huge wolf, bigger than anyone I had ever seen, came out of the woods. I remember its coat being shimmering silver and bright, piercing green eyes. As the wolf was walking along the fence of our paddocks, it locked eyes with mine, and we just kind of stared at each other as he walked past me. Both alone in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. What happened next till this day instantly makes my spine shiver. As the wolf walked past, he walked towards our barn with our horses in it. It became darker as it entered the barn, but the other side of the barn still had a bright light illuminating the outside, and I could clearly see the wolf as it entered. Halfway through, it went from the shape of a wolf to a very large, broad-shouldered person. The horses did not make a single sound, and this person was now 7 foot in height, walking down the rest of the hall, rounding the corner toward the open field. My brother had his own encounter with the same creature. He told me he had woke up randomly one night with a feeling of being watched, look out the window to see a very large wolf walking away from his window. So I'm guessing it was watching him sleep. So that's a shitload of fucking paranormal experiences for one place. Larry Lindman, holy shit. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, Larry. Appreciate you. You both are very generous, Aramic. You both are. Definitely. I mean, but he was definitely stuck at that house being young like that, though, you know? So it's not like he could have moved. It's time to crack the old Mexican coca. Shit. Thanks, Jessica. What up, IE Native? How are you, my friend? Yeah, never mess with black magic. Thank you, Delirium. 100%, brother. Keep it on the DL, Andy Davis. Keep it on the DL. Shit. Mikey. I'm doing well, makes you wonder. How are you? What up, Jim Bob? Jim Bob. Yeah, never mess with any kind of magic. Ricardo, thank you very much. I actually have so I had talked about this. Someone had messaged me a video about the Cynocephaly, and I think it is the most overplayed videos. Like, if you watch the video that people do, they are literally the same information, right? So I got pissed off about this comment, right? I'm just like, why? There's 100 different videos with the same information, literally the same information. If you watch it, there's nothing different. It's all the same. So I sat downstairs for an entire 4 hours on the computer. I pulled out every cryptid book I had, anything and everything. I contacted one of my friends who is a serious researcher and talked to them about it. He and I bounced ideas off. And Monday, I am going to put together a in-depth video on the Cynocephaly that has information not heard on any of these other videos. These kind of just like, here, let's refab the fucking info. Yeah, it's just regurgitated bullshit, you know? Like, it's on the same shit that's on Facebook or in Reddit, you know? It's like, let's talk about it 2 years later and maybe it'll change, you know? It's so stupid. Sumner, what's going on, my buddy? All right, I've got some Lizo stories. Let me see. All right. All right, we'll start it with this one, guys. Are you guys ready for Lizo? Lizo? Yeah, that's old news, Big John. Alexander the Great did too. I mean, Marco Polo actually had in-depth trade. He traded with a tribe of them, and they're dogmen. All they are is dogmen, because the true history of them were they were non-warring. They didn't war with anyone. They didn't fuck with anybody, but the humans fucked with them. They got fed up with it and got pushed into the woods, and then boop, the Cynocephaly just disappeared. So then Dogman started to attack and fight back. Anything on YouTube is bullshit, Sean and Rain. I'm not. I don't know how to just say it without like more clarity than that. There is very little. That's why when I put the videos out, I'm like, you decide. I don't share what my decision, like my like input on it. I think there's like one or two videos that I can't really decipher. You got to watch them. You can see that it's quite evident. There's no shadows. There's this, there's that. There's a few of them that are really interesting. What's up, old painless? Albert. So Monday, that Cynocephaly video will be out Monday. Yeah, they had some of the greatest spices. That's like Marco Polo talked about. He said these dog-headed creatures, they had great spices. They were non-warring, and they got fed up with getting bullied. They were just essentially bullied by the humans. Similar to like when I talk about Danny Van Drimmeny's book, how eventually there's that question asked, how did the Neanderthal get wiped out? Was it because humans became better at fighting, better adapted at fighting with weapons. We became smarter, more tactful, and then we just pushed them into the woods. It's sad. All right, so here we go. Lizo the lot lizard story, and this one's going to be very interesting. Oh my God. Lizo, they called her the queen of the asphalt angels, the undisputed lot lizard monarch of Red Rooster Truck Stop. Her domain stretched from diesel pumps to the Greasy Spoon Diner. Her word law among the weary truckers and her sisters of the road. Lizo was tough, all sharp wit and even sharper eyeliner, with a heart that had been hardened by millions of miles of bad choices and cheap coffee. So it came as a shock to everyone, most of all to herself, when she fell for Earl. Earl wasn't much to look at, a trucker, naturally, with a beer gut that preceded him a good 2 seconds and a befuddled expression. But Earl had a kindness to him, a way of looking at Lizo that made her feel seen, not just sized up. He didn't ask for much, just a warm meal and a moment of peace, and Lizo, for the first time ever, found herself craving his company more than her usual cut. Earl's constant companion was Bubba, a hulking mass of a man whose default setting was mildly threatening. Bubba was Earl's best friend from way back, always lurking in the background, nursing a lukewarm soda, his eyes hidden behind a dirty baseball cap. Lizo didn't like Bubba. There was something off about him, a strange stillness that bellied his size. She couldn't put her finger on it. Then came the night of the full moon, or perhaps it was just the Tuesday after discount chili night. Lizo was on her break, sharing a cigarette with Earl by his rig, when Bubba emerged from the shadow of the truck wash. He wasn't wearing his cap or his usual stained overalls. Instead, Bubba was clad head to toe in a sleek black bondage gimp suit, complete with a terrifying featureless mask that glinted under the dim lot lights. One gloved hand, and he held a shimmering, pulsating orb. Earl, Bubba's voice, usually a low rumble, now distorted, like 1,000 grinding gears. It's time for our little trip. The Looney Lollipop Guild awaits. Before Earl could even grunt in confusion, Bubba slammed the orb against his chest. A blinding flash erupted, swallowing Earl whole. When Lizo's vision cleared, both Earl and Bubba were gone, leaving only a lingering smell of ozone and cheap rubber. Lizo didn't scream. She didn't even drop her cigarette. She just stood there, her mind processing the truly unbelievable. Bubba was a dimensional traveling serial killer. And he wore that Lizo, the queen of the Red Rooster, felt cold dread intertwine in her fierce burning rage. Nobody but nobody messed with her Earl. She tore through the truck stop like a tornado in a sequence top. She interrogated every bewildered trucker, every terrified waitress, finally a grizzled old mechanic, grease-stained Gary, remembered Bubba talking about wormholes in the man's room toilet and the secret to interdimensional travel, being a specific blend of diesel and expired meat jerky. Armed with Gary's half-baked theory and a tire iron, Lizo stormed the men's restroom. The air was thick with stale urine and desperation. There, glowing faintly in the third stall, was a swirling vortex inside the porcelain bowl, humming with an unholy glow. Lizo did not hesitate. If that was the way to Earl, then so be it. She took a deep breath, clutched her tire iron, and dove headfirst into the swirling abyss. She landed with a wet splat on what felt like a giant, sticky licorice whip. The air in this new dimension was sickeningly sweet, like 1,000 candy stores had exploded. The sky was an unsettling shade of Pepto-Bismol pink, dotted with floating, cloud-like objects shaped like giant cartoonish donkey wieners. And then she saw them, hundreds of them, midgets, no taller than her knee, prancing about in this garish clown makeup that ran in neon streaks down their faces. They wore mismatched polka-dotted outfits, and each one, without fail, clutched a truly gargantuan, deep-purpled rubber donkey wiener. They were not just holding them, they were twirling them, brandishing them, occasionally slapping each other with them in what appeared to be some sort of bizarre ritualistic dance. This was the Loony Lollipop Guild. Lizo felt her breakfast threaten to reappear. "Earl," she bellowed, her voice echoing strangely in the syrupy air. A ghoulish cackle answered her. Bubba, still in his horrifying gimp suit, was perched atop of a colossal pile of what looked suspiciously like discarded clown noses, holding a terrified Earl by the collar. Earl looked disheveled, covered in glitter, and very, very confused. "Lizo, you made it!" Bubba shrieked, his voice distorted through the mask. "Welcome to my personal paradise. The Loony Lollipop Guild will be delighted with our new acquaintances." He gestured to Earl, then to Lizo, his mask head tilting in a very disturbing manner. The midgets began to converge, their donkey wieners wobbling ominously. Lizo, however, was not to be intimidated by some perverted midget clowns, no matter what their size or their choice of recreational toy. She was, after all, the lot lizard queen, and for crying out loud, she had seen worse things at the truck stop shower. "Get your freak show asses over here, Bubba," Lizo snarled, hefting on her tire iron. "You got about 5 seconds to unhand my Earl, or I swear to God, I'm going to rearrange your gimp suit." Bubba laughed, the sound that made the air vibrate. "Foolish woman, this is my domain. These are my loyal brethren of the..." Before he could finish his perverted sermon, Lizo lunged. She was a blur of sequence and righteous fury. She didn't fight eloquently. She fought dirty, like a hungry badger. She swung that tire iron, not at Bubba, but at that enormous pile of clown noses he was sitting on. The unstable mound collapsed, sending Bubba tumbling into a writhing mess of midgets below. Chaos erupted. The midgets, caught off guard, stumbled and fumbled their rubber donkey wieners. Lizo seized a moment, charged through them like a bowling ball through pins. She used that tire iron not as a weapon, but as a crowbar, prying away at the base of the massive licorice whip Earl was tied to. "Lizo, what?" And Earl stammered, still disoriented. "No time, Earl. Grab on," she yelled, freeing him finally. Bubba, meanwhile, was flailing in the sea of angrily weaponized midgets, their purple rubber appendages raining down on him, a comical yet strangely effective barrage. Lizo, seeing her chance, grabbed a stray, particularly large donkey wiener from a fallen midget and with a grunt of effort swung it like a baseball bat. It connected with Bubba's gimp suit head with a thickening thwack that echoed throughout the dimension. The sheer absurdity of the blow sent him sprawling, stunned. Let's go, Earl. Lizo dragged him toward the shimmering portal, which is still glowing faintly nearby. The Loony Lollipop Guild, enraged by the disruption, swarmed after them, their tiny feet slapping on the sticky ground, their rubberized weapons waving furiously. Just as they reached the portal, Lizo turned, a glint in her eye. With one final magnificent kick, she sent a discarded oversized clown shoe skidding into the mob of midgets. It was all the distraction they needed. They thumbled back through the swirling vortex, landing in another unceremoniously splat. This time, it was on a grime-stained floor at the Red Rooster truck stop men's room. Earl coughed, rubbing his head, still bewildered. Lizo, though, still adjusting her eyeliner, a triumphant smirk on her lips. Don't worry about it, Earl. Just remember, nobody messes with Lizo's man. From that day on, Earl still trucked and Lizo still reigned. But their bond was different, stronger. And if, every now and then, Earl found a stray piece of glitter on his denim jacket, or Lizo occasionally mistook a passing semi for a giant throbbing purple, well, some secrets were just part of the wild, wonderful chaos of their life. Bubba was gone, presumably still trapped with his little perverted paradise, and the Red Rooster truck stop was thankfully back to normal. Everyday brand of weird now. You like that, freaking Nicola? I had to include the Lollipop Guild too. As I'm writing this, I'm like singing the Lollipop Guild song. What's up, Olivia? Karen Slay. I'm just gonna say 47. What's up, 47? Choked on my popcorn. Better than choking on a rubber donkey wiener. Melody Page, how are you? Randy Man. Mark Golden, how are you? Ugh. All right. There we go. Had to unstick them real quick. What's up, Stormy Light? How are you? I'm thinking about it, Jess. I've got them all put together. Aeromac! Thank you so much, brother. Thank you very much. I gotta find a good experience to donate to. Here we go. Aramik, this one is dedicated to you, my brother. This is something that happened in October of 2020, and I still cannot come up with an explanation for it. So I figured someone here may be able to help me. I had a friend over, and they were leaving my house at around 11 p.m. at night. So I walked them out to their car. We were stopped in the middle of my driveway, finishing our conversation and saying goodbye. They were facing me, which would be looking toward my house. And I'm obviously facing them toward the road in my front yard. Behind them, there were 4 very tall pine trees in my front yard. As they are talking to me, I couldn't take my attention off the third tree. and because I could see what just looked to be a bright, glowing light at the top of it in the tree. When I said, "What is that?" my friend turned around. And as they were turning around to see what I was talking about, whatever this was spread its wings. The bright light I saw in the tree were wings. It then flapped them twice and soared away quickly. My friends saw it when it was soaring away, so to this day they 100% believe they saw a UFO. But I saw the wings. I saw it sitting in my tree and spreading its wings and flying away faster than any bird I had ever seen. And the wings, why were they so bright? They had a glow to them. You could not miss it. I'm glad my friend was there to witness it with me because I think I was crazy if not, but my friend didn't see it all. They didn't see what was soaring away so fast had huge wings. So you got to understand my concern because I still live in this house. And when I saw whatever this was, I felt so strange. I felt as if it was sitting there watching us, like whatever it was wanted me to see it. And as soon as I said something, it flew away. I get paranoid anytime I get home late and have to walk inside by myself. Anyway, just looking for some theories. Thanks. Mothman. Draconian, maybe. Draconian. Mothman. I think, me and Aramik had a long talk one day. And Mothman is the dumbest name for that creature because it's not a bug. Like, it's not a bug. So, like, why do we call it the Mothman? When I hear Mothman, I think of that cartoon or comic book, The Tick, and his little buddy Arthur. Fucking Mothman, Arthur. What's up, DL? Yeah, there's no caterpillar, man. I agree 100%. Or chrysalis man, like went midway. Caterpillar man, chrysalis man, Mothman. And then you got to have Arthur. Well, a dog man looks like a dog. A Mothman does not look like a bug. It's more reptilian monkey crab. It's not a hard scenario to put together. It's actually pretty simple. What's up, Jason? Got to thank Larry or Aramik on that one, my friend. But thank you for hanging out with us. Probably Aramik or Larry, one of the two. Elizabeth, how are you, dear? Hope you're feeling better. I was just reading one of the books that you sent me a while back, the Satanic Super Soldier one from Tom Horn and Stephen Quayle. And I thought about you. The Black Awakening. You got it, my friend. You got it. If you guys have not, if no one's read that book, that's an amazing book. That book is wow. And then I started to read Commander X's book. Did you know how many presidents have actually had UFO book or UFO experiences? Multitude of presidents have had UFO experiences. Going back to Abe Lincoln had one, George Washington. It's pretty interesting. DL, the sky, you funny guy, you fun. Jimmy Carter had an amazing one. Stephen Quayle has like 6 of my videos listed on his channel. I was like, holy cow. Send it to me, Fallen Angel, Agent D, Data Lord. Eisenhower and Truman were the reasons why everything went down. I say it like all the time. I've reached out to him. And hopefully. Yeah, all those books are super expensive now. Like that one book, that the Solomon Islands giant book, you can't even find that book anymore now. It's like, I talked about it and there was like 6 of them for sale. The lowest one was like $300. The max one was like $2,000. And then they're all gone. I'm like, holy shit. I got one though. Thank God. From the Hawaii Library. All right. This one's pretty cool. I woke up at exactly 3 a.m. It was almost, he's writing this the day it happened. I woke up at exactly 3 a.m. this morning. It's almost 5 now, after being scared awake from a dream. It was truly bizarre, but it did have some personal fears, triggers of mine throughout the dream as well. The dream follows, and I'll add background info about me to kind of help direct an answer. My fiance, my mom, and I were at a snow cone stand off the side of the road grabbing snow cones. I was on my phone scrolling through what seemed to be Instagram reels. I was suddenly met with a flashing screen warning me to close all of my apps. While the emergency system noise was going off, I'm located in the United States, so it's the US EBS noise, like what you'd hear from an Amber Alert. I read some tiny text at the bottom, he's watching you. Even in my dream, I'm freaked out, because in my waking life, the EBS noise scares me as well. I told my mom and fiance I was going to use the bathroom at the gas station across the street. I went in and a man behind the counter greeted me. His voice was lower than an average man, but didn't think anything of it. He was very overdressed for a gas station employee, wearing a full black suit with a black tie. He also had long hair, so I couldn't quite see his face. Anyhow, I walked into the bathroom and I suddenly get this gut-wrenching feeling that I am being hunted down or watched. I turn around and no one was in the bathroom with me. I call my mom, freaking out, and ask her to come over here and get me now. She told me over the phone it would be a minute. I told her, no, you need to get here now. As soon as I said that, my mom walked into the bathroom. I was relieved, but that quickly turned into my heart-sinking sensation, followed by panic I could only describe as prey being cornered by the greeting of death. My mom's still on the phone with me, saying she's on her way. My mom, that was in the bathroom with me, was not on the phone. It only stared at me with a cold, deadpan expression. The thing looked and sounded and overall was identical to my mom. I started to scream, and as soon as I did, the thing portraying my mom pulled out a knife and started to stab at me mercilessly. I woke up dead in panic. I checked the time at 3 a.m. Background. I am trying to convert back to Christianity after moving away from church at 13. I'm 18 now, to follow in satanic practices. I've always been irrationally afraid of being watched, or rather heckled by someone. It's been 2 months since I was integrated myself back into church. I do strongly believe in paranormal and demonic entities. Any thoughts on what could have happened? I think my own view on this, was Southern, good night. My own view on this is, I think that quite possibly it was either a demonic, kind of like a demonic, something demonic coming through their dream, or it was their own psyche telling them, hey, for 13 years you had devoted your life to Christ. You then went into practice Satanism. It's time to go back. A lot of times our brains just tell us things that our unconscious mind is very intelligent, and maybe it was just his unconscious mind saying, it is imperative for you to go back to Christianity. Jesus is your king, so that's what I think it was. I don't think it was a demonic thing at all. I think it was his psychic mind saying, hey, if you don't, there may be something demonic happening very soon. What's up, G87? How are you? Yes, Fallen Angel, send it, please. Phoenix Fire, how are you? Samara, how are you? I can tell you one thing. If you go down here, Johnny Ohm. Oh, I just noticed 87's name is Guitar. Shit, that's good. I like that. Guitar. Shit. So speaking of sleep and paralysis, yeah, I'd kind of have to disagree with you, Mikey, on that one. Because I mean, if you turn your back on God and you go back to God, the devil may haunt you, but I don't think he's going to get you. I think God's got your back more or less. You know what I mean? Yeah, I did an upload including that article, Big John. Guitar used to be enormous. Now he's little G, big E. Oh, Byron Shutt. Damn. Prayers go out to you. I'm not even going to ask how you feel because I know you're not walking on it yet, but damn. That deserves a shit. What's up, Walter? How are you, my friend? Oh, good one. Good one. Disclaimer. I am Catholic and I do believe in demons in general, but I am very cautious in attributing any particular incident to one, and I do not make a claim either way of this. Very likely it has some normal explanation. Night terrors and sleepwalking run heavily in my family. In college, I jumped off the top bunk in my sleep while screaming bloody murder, and I got a concussion. I'm not even the most severe case. However, in high school, I was in a bad, unsafe situation and started to get sleep paralysis almost nightly. I absolutely hated that I could hear myself breathing but not control it. And I was always scared that I would stop breathing and die. The other scary element was the sleep paralysis creature, of course, who presented as a featureless black person of my size. I knew this although my eyes were almost never open, and whose touch felt static. It would come, lie fully length on top of me, and pin me in place. I could feel each finger of its hand gripping my wrist, but only the pressure and static sensation, which made it weirdly real and unreal at the same time. Over time, I worked on calming myself down during each episode. I did not have the energy to freak out every night about something out of my control. It got to the point where I looked forward to my visit from this creature, since it took my mind off the boredom of being paralyzed for 15 minutes to a half an hour. And the full body pressure was a bit comforting, like a comforting weight blanket. I took to referring to it as my sleep paralysis boyfriend. I was pretty proud of myself for dealing with things rationally and exerting the influence over over mind over matter. At this point, it had been maybe a year of frequent, every other night or so, paralysis. The frequency started to decline because of my successful exposure therapy, or so I thought. Then, one night, after a hiatus of a week or so, my sleep paralysis companion made another appearance. This time, instead of just holding down my arm, it began to slowly drag it off the edge of the couch. I didn't even have my own room, so I slept in the living room. I could feel my arm distinctly moving across the leather. It remained completely paralyzed while it slid my arm carefully over to the edge, at which point I snapped out of it and opened my eyes to see my hand indeed hanging over the edge. I was petrified. The creature could physically move my body now. Could it sleep? Could it sleepwalk me around like a puppet while I stayed horrifyingly aware? But for whatever reason that was, the end of the night paralysis, I still have it occasionally, and the creature still makes less vivid appearances. I hallucinate loud noise when waking up, like classical music, my name being called, or in conversations. One time I opened my eyes to see my arm outstretched and grasping a severed head, which disappeared when I snatched my hand back in horror. I screamed and I scrumped. It was deeply unsettling to my poor roommate, but nothing compares to the feeling of having my body really physically moved by a non-existent entity while being fully aware, lucid, and paralyzed. I stopped making jokes about it after that to avoid anything that might be seen as inviting more attention, and that's my most paranormal experience. I think more or less on that, I don't know how to word it. I think by joking they upset it, but outstretched. I don't know. Definitely a freaking terrifying experience. Terrifying experience. Mountain Monsters is definitely hilarious. What's up, 59th? How are you? Anunchka, how are you? Yes. Yes. If I smoked weed, Mountain Monsters is all I would watch. I'd never leave the house. If I was going to go anywhere, I think I would try, honestly, to go to Skinwalker Ranch. Definitely try to go to Skinwalker Ranch. Nexus, how are you? I don't know. I'd like to see it. The majority of it is, but it comes up, you know? I don't really look into the spring-heeled jack thing. I know it's more in an English thing, and I think my whole view on the spring-heeled jack is I think it was a dude that was a serial killer. That's my own personal, I don't know. Because a lot of the sightings were going on during the time of Jack the Ripper. So I'm not really sure. There's definitely all throughout that area, there's bases all throughout that area. Big John, if you haven't read the book Skinwalkers at Pentagon, that is definitely a must to read. Zilla, thank you so much. Rody, how are you? I hope you and Lily have a wonderful walk. The same guy that wrote fucking Hunt for Skinwalker. It's the sequel. I talk about it almost every day on my channel. Skinwalker at the Pentagon. James Latsky.
According to Amazon.com.
Shut up, lady. James Latsky. You can get it on Amazon. It's not very expensive. It's a good book though. Zilla, good night. Stay safe. Amazing book. The Ice Cream Man is coming. They were supposed to make a movie about that. I also don't buy that story, Andy Davis. I don't know. I have a hard time with the. No, you're good, John. I have a hard time buying Spring Heel Jack, considering a lot of people have debunked it. So, to me, it's a dude that's. So I don't know. Well, not debunked it, but historians looked into it and stuff. I don't know. I just don't buy it. I think it's a bullshit story. Kind of like when you said bullshit, Johnny. Like, I think it's a bullshit story. I think it's a story meant to scare people. But that's my own personal thing. It might be true. You know what I mean? But it might not be. I know that a few historians said that it was more or less a story scaring kids. Do you know the British soldier, Andy Davis? Did you speak to him personally to feel it out? You know what I mean? Because if that's the case, then I'll believe it 100%. You had him at your house for dinner. I mean, shit, I'm buying it then. But if it was on TV, it's kind of like, almost like Bigfoot up, where that fucking Bigfoot channel guy, Moneymaker, look how many people bought him. But it might be true too. So I'm just saying it might be true. It might not be. I don't think it is. But I want to read that. I want to read the Florida one. I know the Florida one. I vaguely saw something on that. Oh. Okay, here we go. Victorian. I don't see any Florida ones. There might be something similar to it, but just from what I'm reading, there are no credible reports or evidence in Spring-Heeled Jack in Florida. Spring-Heeled Jack is a Victorian era-age legend from England, known as his leaping ability and frightening appearance. Julie, thank you so much. Victorian Spring-Heeled Jack figure from England, folklore. Experience in Florida with a creature similar to Spring-Heeled Jack. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. Plano, Texas. I found this. Hang on a second. One of the most curious and persistent of all paranormal creatures. Reports Sheffield, England. A letter to the Times years ago. A famous ghost. I would buy that it was a ghost more than a creature. Devil-like. Later, hear Lucy Scales, heard screams. I'm kind of looking for that. I want to find that soldier one. 45. Oh, okay. 38 to 45. He made dozens of appearances in Cape Cod area, though there are reportedly bleached flames rather than ejecting from his chest. In Provincetown, which I gathered has seen no end of strange things, he leapt forced pedestrians off the pavement in busy street. When a dog cornered him, the animal's owner blasted Jack with a shotgun, but the damn thing laughed and jumped my 8-foot fence. Houston, 53, seen in 1953. In 70s, Jack returned both to England and Sydney, North Carolina. Years later. Here it is. Here it is. I think this is the one you're talking about, Andy Davis. Mr. Haunted. Years later, in 1986, a former British Army officer named Marshall was in South Herefordshire riding his bike on a quiet country road near the Welsh border. Motion in the fields to his left drew his attention. He was astonished to see a man leaping over hedgerows in a single bound. The man reached the road and slapped Marshall hard enough to knock him to the ground and leave a red handprint on his face for hours. Was that the one? Yeah, but there can be stories like that everywhere, Shauna. Like, Jimmy got a new book out today. Can I talk about it yet, Jimmy? All right. So, guys, Mr. Haunted has a brand new book out. It's called Lights Out. Lights Out. It's on Amazon right now. It's cryptid and other experiences. Very, very interesting. It's purple. I'm going to pull it up for you guys so you guys can see it. It's called Lights Out. True chilling encounters with ghosts, monsters, cryptid, and extraterrestrial. There's the book right there. New Mr. Haunted book. Victor's book, I've still got it in a publisher's hands, Big John. It's literally still sitting. I redid it and had to do it twice, and it still sits there. That cover is fire. There is no photos in the book. There never was going to be. Victor said that. Ghosts are not fake. Ghosts are fake, Reed, but you believe in Dogman. Bigfoot. Mr. Haunted, thank you so much. I'm going to take that $4 and put it towards my book. So if ghosts are fake, ask Mr. Haunted if ghosts are fake, because he did work with the Warrens. He knew Father Malachi Martin personally, who was killed by Old Scratch. I know you're sending me one. I know it. It's a beautiful cover, though. You did a great job picking the cover. I like that. Because I know we talked about the one that you were going to do. Yeah, exactly. I will love to hear your ghost story. I never heard of wild palms. Wild palms, huh? I'll have to check that out. Is it like VSDL? I've had him on my channel twice, Sonia. Me and him have got plans to do a meet and greet someday. I was just thinking that, Andy. I was literally just thinking that shit. Sonia, if you type in my name on the search bar of YouTube and then put in Mr. Haunted, it'll come up, and his 2 videos will come in. And we literally talked about everything and anything. Cool thing about the new book, is one of the stories is from me. Wild palms reminds me of, like, it sounds like just something bad's gonna happen, you know, like sounds like a 1970s porno movie. And I'm kind of freaked out about the title. Like all of a sudden you're gonna hear bow, chicka, bow, bow, and then you're just gonna hear this. Say no thank you. Changing the channel now. Shadow creature. I live in Eastern Europe. We are known for rafts by the river as a party place. There's a certain part of the river where you can rent a raft for 20 to 30 people, small celebrations, and by chance, I live in the proximity of that part of the river. We are celebrating a friend's announcement for a child, and everyone is drunk. I hope not the person that's having the kid, except me and this one girl who is on meds that doesn't mix alcohol. So is the person announcing the baby drunk too? We are celebrating a friend's announcement for the child. So the booze and snacks depleted, the girl and me decide to drive some 7 kilometers to the nearest shop to replenish the party goods. We make our purchase and head back. She tells me some silly story that should be fun when you notice a shadowy form with glowing eyes, but only slightly, jump across the road in front of us. She goes on with the story and I tell her, yo, did you see this? She replies, Arabic! I did. And I'm acting like nothing happened and continuing my story because I just pissed my pants out of fear. Whatever was that? I was shocked. It wasn't a glitch or some false vision type of event. It was super clear. A shadowy form moving at intense speeds jumped over the road onto a river. Second time we saw it. Living near that river, I almost forgot about Shadow Barry Allen. My mom, that lives in the house next to mine, had hip surgery and the doctor recommended daily walks. It was late, around 11 p.m. She did not perform her daily walk, so she asked me if I would take the dog and go with her. We went into the fields, arable land. There's a path between the crops, and it is dark there, but moonlight, so it was pretty bright. As we are walking on a certain field, there is a mysterious peach tree all alone in the field. As we are walking, he appeared, zoomed from faraway bush just behind it. Not walking. It doesn't have click-clack movement as if someone or something biological. It just like someone took a mouse pointer and dragged it across the screen. My mom clearly saw it. The dog was confused. He also stopped in place. My mom said, okay, let's go back and let's never go this close to midnight walks again. Last encounter. I wanted to see it again and this time be 1,000% sure that it was not my imagination or anything like that. I wanted to know if it was real. So I went alone this time with Paws, of course, the dog. On those fields, there is much less light pollution than your average city. And it's on a slight height above sea level, so the stars and skies are super visible. Everything was pretty clear. I made total silence. The dog laid down. I waited for some 15 minutes. As soon as my mind started to get bored and nothing happened, it appeared again, zigzagged 3 times between a bush, tree, and some faraway fence. And this time I was sure it was human height. It moved without legs, like floating. It's shadowy. When there's only a little light, it appears to be more brown than black in color. If there is something that resembles eyes slightly visible where the head was supposed to be. It doesn't seem malevolent or dangerous. It could easily have decapitated me. I was alone with a dog, no one around for a couple of kilometers. Lives in that area, or at least makes sense due to the fact that I've seen it 3 times there. Anyway, I'm a scientific mind. I do not like inexplainable things. And it is more mysterious. It's my own personal proof that there are things not like most of us believe. And that there are some forces we obviously don't know of. Janie, have a good night. Pyrami. Sean McCabe, have a good night, brother. MM Wolf, I'd like to hear it. Time is it? Ooh. All right. Lot lizard story time. We are an hour and a half in. No, nothing new on that. Nothing new on that, Shauna. All right, fluorescent. Thick diesel glow. One boy. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Lot lizard time. Samuel, thank you. Ending soon. Can you tell us about the migration patterns? Dogman. I spend a lot of time driving across the. Okay, so I myself, I think they don't migrate like birds. I think they travel, like they follow the food sources. I believe there's a 5-state hot spot on the East Coast. I believe there is one hot spot everywhere. Like I think there's like a major spot, like, and they spread out. And when food sources get scarce or they get bored of being in that area, I think they move quickly to find other places to go. More or less like Native American, when they would, drag their teepees behind them and, just go hunt for food, different land. That's the way I look at it. Yeah, I'm not saying they're not in Oregon. They're in every state. I'm just saying I'm talking about, I believe there's a 5-state hotspot on the East Coast. And I think I said pretty sure that each area of the country has their own kind of hotspot where it spreads out. I would say more likely on that side, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, that would kind of be that region. The northern part of California, they're everywhere. There's never, I have 50 states full of Dogman encounters. So like, did anyone see the freaking wild hog that was found in California when they sliced it open? It had blue fat, like flab underneath. It was blue. No, I haven't seen him tonight. Simone. Indicates fungus. No, it's not fungus. It was insecticides and pesticides is what they tested it for. Once again, they tested it and it had insecticides and pesticides and other human-made shit to it, not fungus. So that's a shit ton of poison. It's fucking gross. Yeah, that's not good either, Big John. That's not good. There's actually, I did an upload about Hawaii. There's actually like with the Cynocephaly or whatever. There's actually a tribe of dog-headed people in Hawaii that has it's historical. The upload is out. I literally destroyed every Hawaiian like word because I'm a fucking idiot. And there's no like talk text to help me speak Hawaiian language. But it was quite interesting. So They're called the Kaupe. Kaupe is described as a malevolent spirit or dogman known to lure people to their death. It is depicted as having a head of a dog and a human body. Kaupe is said to have originally been from the Nahuna Valley on Oahu and comes to roam the forest. Modern urban legend suggests the voice. So there is legend of that in. What's up, Penny Roller? How are you? Haha, I hear you. All right. Lot lizard time. The fluorescent glow of eat here and get gas sign cast a sickly pallor over Mama Rose's truck stop. But even that couldn't dim the incandescent aura of Lizo. Not the Lizo, mind you, but Lizo, the self-proclaimed and widely acknowledged lot lizard queen of this particular stretch of Interstate 40. Her throne was a beat-up plastic Adirondack chair outside the greasy diner, usually occupied by a half-eaten corn dog. Tonight, it was just her. In a lime green velour tracksuit, a feather boa that had seen more miles than most long-hauled truckers, she surveyed her kingdom, idling trucks, the occasional lonely trucker, a couple of younger apprentices trying to look busy. It was just past midnight, the air thick with diesel fumes and the low hum of distant engines when they appeared, not from the dark alley or a cloud of smoke, but from the very shadows clinging to utility poles, small figures, their steps unnervingly silent. Lizo, who'd seen everything from UFO cults buying gas to a man trying to trade his pet ferret for a six-pack, barely lifted an eyebrow. But then they stepped into the weak light, and her perfectly manicured hand paused mid-reach for her supersized soda. They were children, 4 of them, looking no older than 7, dressed in eerily pristine old-fashioned clothes, suspenders, knee-high socks, and little pinafores. And their eyes, oh Lord, their eyes were black. Not dark brown, not dilated, but solid obsidian pools that swallowed the light, and they didn't blink. One boy with disturbingly neat hair spoke. His voice was flat, devoid of childish inflections. "We require your assistance, Mother." Lizo snorted. "Mother? Honey, the only thing I'm mother to is this here profit margin. And it ain't looking too good tonight. You kids lost? You need to find your real mama? Maybe try Denny's across the street. They got better pancakes." The kids didn't react. 2 of them reached out, their small hands impossibly strong, gripping her wrist. A shiver, not a cold, but of something ancient and wrong, went down Lizo's spine. The world around her blurred. The sounds of the truck stop faded to an unbearable silence. The plastic chair vanished. The asphalt beneath her feet dissolved into a swirling vortex of gray and black. She landed, not softly, but without impact, on a desolate, featureless plain. The sky was an unending, bruised purple, and the air crackled with a dry electronic energy. There was no horizon, no sound, just infinite expanse of nothing. The children stood before her, no longer gripping her. They were arranged in a semicircle, their black eyes fixed on her. "Where in the low-rent hell am I?" Lizo demanded, hands on her hips, her boa now slightly askew. The boy spoke up again. His voice echoed in the void. "This is the space between the realms, a nexus. We brought you here, Lizo of the truck stop, for a purpose." Another child, a girl with long dark braids, chimed in, her voice equally devoid of emotion. "Our current form is limiting. We require an adult vessel, a matriarch. Lizo blinked. You want to possess me? Honey, my lease is up on this body, but I'm not giving it up to no unaged, demonic-eyed toddler and a matriarch. Do I look like I collect coupons and bake casseroles? I collect cash and bake assumptions about people. The children shifted, a subtle, unnerving movement. You pose the necessary vigor, the first boy continued, the self-love, the spirit. You shall be our mother, our black-eyed adult. Lizo threw her head back and let out a laugh that boomed in the silent dimension, a laugh that usually made truckers spill their coffee. Honey, you must be smoking whatever the cashier at Texaco is pushing. You think I'm going to be your mama? Do you know how much a good wig costs? How much time it takes to maintain this glow? I got no time for demon daycare. Their black eyes seemed to darken further. If that were possible, you will comply, the girl hissed, a faint acidic smell filling the air. Lizo rolled her eyes. Honey, I've had angry chuckers, jilted ex-husbands, and 3 different health department inspectors try to make me comply. And look where they are, still telling lies in the diner, while I'm out here shining like a disco ball. She took a deep breath and something shifted within her. It wasn't magic, not really. This was pure, unadulterated Lizo, the audacity of these pint-sized hellions daring to interrupt her evening, to question her autonomy, and to even suggest she'd be a mother, and a demonic one at that. A profound righteous indignation swelled in her chest. Listen here, you little black-eyed brats, she boomed, her voice resonating with an unsuspecting power that made the very air crackle. I'm Lizo. I am the lot lizard queen. I answer to no one, and I am certainly ain't changing no demon diapers. You want a mama? You want someone to boss you around and force feed you vegetables? I got a better idea for your unholy little asses. As she spoke, a vibrant lime green tracksuit seemed to pulse. Her feather boa, previously a little droopy, puffed up with a life of its own. Her self-love, her unadulterated confidence manifested not as a gentle glow, but as a blinding, ferocious wave of energy. It was too much for these little children. Their unnatural composure fractured. They shrieked high-pitched, inhumane sounds that tore at the fabric of the dimension. They recoiled, clutching their heads. Their black eyes flickered with what looked like pure terror. You want a lesson in discipline, Lizo roared, her voice now a force of nature. You want a taste of what true, unending torment feels like? I know just the place for you, you nasty little bastards. She extended a perfectly manicured finger, not pointing, but commanding to the darkest, most unsufferable pit of Hades, where the sun never shines, and the only sound you'll ever hear again is... She paused, a wicked grin spread across her face. The Tinky Winky song on loop forever, and Big Bird's gonna be there too. A blinding flash of emerald light erupted from her, a wave of pure, unadulterated sass power. The children screamed a chorus of despair as the ground beneath them tore open, a chasm of fiery brimstone, smelling faintly like stale popcorn, and dread swallowed them whole. Their last sight was Lizo standing triumphantly, her feather boa fluttering in a non-existent breeze. The swirling gray and black returned, then the sickly yellow of eat here, gas here sign. Lizo found herself back on her plastic Adirondack chair throne, and a half-eaten corn dog sitting right next to her, the air thick with diesel and the distant hum of engines. She adjusted her boa, smoothed her tracksuit, and took a long, satisfied sip of her soda. A trucker, Big Ron, ambled over. Everything all right, Lizo? Thought I heard you hollering for a minute there. Lizo smiled, a knowing gleam in her eye. Just teaching some manners, Big Ron. Some folks just don't know when they're messing with the queen. She glanced at the shadows. A faint chuckle escaped her. Somewhere in a very special corner of hell, 4 black-eyed children are undoubtedly having a very bad day, forced to endure the endless chipper, relentlessly repetitive, and utterly inescapable joy of the Teletubbies. And that, Lizo decided, was punishment enough, and punishment truly fit for a queen. Craigers, what's up, brother? Thank you, Mr. Haunted. Thank you, everyone that liked it. I can see you, Donald Duck, for Christ. How are you? Thank you, Jess B. I had to think of a good punishment for those little black-eyed kids, and I figured black-eyed kids, they could use, maybe they could use some Teletubby love. There he is. There's San Francisco Basewater. How are you? Sonia, Simone was just asking about you. Denny's is always across the street. Yes, Denny's is always there. Always. Ugh. I think they're demons myself. What's up, Edith? I can't eat Denny's, Tyler. I can't eat Denny's. Anytime I do, I don't leave my bathroom for a while. No, but I think it's time. I think it's time. Because $20 is $20. That's right, Jimmy. That's right. The old Kenny G of the Hebrew horn. Mikey, have a good night. Thank you, David. I don't know. I think my GIMP one was better. What song? I'm wearing their shirt. I'm wearing their shirt. I'm wearing their shirt. It was a gorilla song. I don't have neighbors. And the neighbors that I have, I don't care about because they're just useless. I don't normally share things that I see with other people, but given that this group is pretty good, I figured, hey, why not? My family is pretty abnormal, I'd say, either that or gifted. We see a lot of things that people would probably call us schizophrenic or crazy for, hence why I don't share these things with people outside of my family or my inner circle. And normally, when I do, other people with me, they see things too. Anyway, here's one of the experiences. My mom and stepdad had recently finished building our house when I was about 9 or 10. It was kind of in the middle of nowhere and actually right next to a prison as well as a military facility. My brother and I all got to pick our new rooms, and I chose the room with the windows facing the front of the house. Since the house was brand new, we had no blinds installed yet. Really, the only furniture in the house was our beds and a couch in the living room. Before I experienced these abnormal paranormal things, I always got chills down my spine. I can sense it before it happens. And it's as if the hair on the back of my neck perch up. I can feel the direction the energy is coming from. As I see it limp across my yard, it crosses the street lamp. It illuminates all of its features, and it is disgusting and horrifying. There is no hair. It is fleshy, tall, and skinny. Its features in the face are sunken in and yet has no eyes or lips or any of that. Its legs are slightly bent as its arms drag behind. It's so vivid in my memory even today. I remember every detail almost 10 years ago. Anyway, I just stare at it in complete fear as it crosses slowly. And after it passes the light, it just vanishes. I ran into my older brother's room after that and just slept on his floor. Let's say I basically stayed up the whole night making sure whatever it was didn't get in. The energy just located in that area in general was terrible. I never left the house at night alone unless someone was with me or watching me. Anyway, thanks. I'd like to share with you an experience from 1954 while working with a United States naval engineer at Zaragoza Air Force Base in Zaragoza, Spain. This was to be a refurbished NATO facility. I was a contractor, 24 years old, and working at my dad's construction firm, and I was hired by the DoD. This was my first time away from the United States. I had another fellow with me who had worked with my dad for a couple years now. Only a few people knew of my experience, my wife, who is now deceased, and two close friends who have also passed. I have read experiences from other people and thought maybe this would be an added bonus. After I had been in Spain for a couple of weeks, I decided to take in the surroundings. I was told by some locals that the Monasterio de Piedra near Nevelusos would be an excellent place to visit. The monastery was about 60 miles away, so I decided it would be an enjoyable day trip. When I arrived, I met a young lady who offered to show me around the complex. It was a very hot day, early August, so we took numerous breaks along the way. As the afternoon waned and the early evening approached, it was time for me to head back towards Zaragoza. The young woman mentioned that there would be a very nice inn not far from the monastery if I wanted to stay the night, then get an early start in the morning. So I decided to stay the night, maybe do some exploring later on. The inn was very rustic, though quite comfortable. I had dinner outside on the back patio. It was an excellent evening. Though it was dusk, I could still see the terrain not far from the inn. There was a vineyard and a small lavender meadow behind the inn, which led to a series of rocky outcroppings. I thought it would be a good place to take a look around, but I first asked the owner if it was okay to do so. I walked through the vineyard to reach a small pond, which had a loud chorus of frogs. By the time it was dark, but there was a fair amount of available moonlight, and I still needed a flashlight to see where I was going. I walked around the pond and started to cross a small bridge over a narrow stream. As I walked over the bridge, I noticed something running through the water at about 50 feet upstream. There was enough moonlight that I could make it out. It was an upright shape. This thing was heading toward the high rocks, though I lost sight of it. I stood silent for a couple of minutes. It was eerie because the frogs were now quiet. The only sound was coming from the direction of those rocks, and the noise was very strange. It sounded like a guttural yak yak series that would pause for a few seconds, then repeat. it would also fade in and out. After a few minutes, it stopped. I had no idea what it was. I crossed the bridge and started to slowly approach the rocks. As I came to the rock face, there was a fairly well-worn trail on the ground along the edge. I walked further onto it, reaching the opening on the rock face. I pointed the flashlight inside and I saw that it was a grotto about 15 feet deep and about high enough for me to stand in. The floor of the grotto was littered with small animal bones, so I figured there are a predator nearby, possibly a fox. I continued on the trail until I heard that yak yak sound again, and it was very close. I instantly stopped walking and started searching around with a flashlight. Just then, some gravel landed on me, and a loud yak yak sound was coming from above. I quickly looked up and pointed the flashlight. There was the creature standing on a small ledge about 15 feet away, staring at me with yellow eyes reflecting back. I was scared. It was screaming yak yak in a quick, constant rhythm. This was the most ghastly thing I had ever seen. It was standing on its hind legs. It was about 4 to 5 feet in height. Now, I have heard about reptilian encounters, but I think this is what I had seen. It was dark in color. It had human-like arms. Its face was similar to a lizard's, possibly an iguana. After seconds, it leapt off the ledge onto the trail, swiftly running on its hind legs in the opposite direction. It was then that I noticed a long tail was moving away from me. I quickly made my way back toward the inn and directed to my room. I lie in the bed thinking about what this creature may have been. I was terrified to look out my window, fearing that it would be there, fearing that it had followed me back to the inn. Come on. Damn it. Early in the morning, I checked out and drove back to Zaragoza. I had proof of my experience. I have no proof of my experience other than my word. Anyway, thank you. Night, Big John. Night, Lewis. Hang on, I got a nut adjust. Oh. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Oh, there we go. What's my thought on mermaids? I did an upload on mermaids the other day. They exist. I believe they exist 100%. And I shared some information, like historical information, and quite possibly like just some really interesting stuff. Really, SD? That's weird. Hey, Daisy May, how are you? That's weird because there's not a TV on in the house. No, it's combined in a bunch of videos. It's in like here. I'll tell you what day it is. Give me a second, and I'll look up the title for you. Hang on a second. Content. Okay. Okay, it's not gonna do that me any good. Fucking A. Videos. Video killed the radio star. Genetic creatures, teens. think it's reptilians in the world, government, Dogman, reptilian, alien, demon. I thought it was with the hyperdimensional ones, but disappearance in Georgia, teen morning, super weapon. Yeah, I think it's the hyperdimensional entities. Like a couple days ago. That web hand one, that is one of the videos that I really can't debunk. That freaks me out. I'm like, huh, all right, like that's just creepy completely. Yeah, that dock one was mine. Outside in. Thank you, Simone. Hellhound is a spirit dog, I believe, in my own view. Like, Hellhound is like a spirit entity, a demonic entity, and Dogmans are not demonic. Like they might be, they might not be, but two different entities right there. Actually, I shared the doc one on a live stream. But like I think, okay, so there's a race of dog-headed aliens that Sumerians talk about, right? And I think that aliens and demons are I think they're the same thing. If my own personal belief is that they are the same thing. But I think quite possibly that the Cynocephaly had been here for a while, living amongst humans as a peaceful entity. But hellhounds are more something else. There's something just like projected evil, like a projected evil, not a physical evil. And I think they're bound by like a certain location. This is my own belief, my own, and like everyone's entitled to their own beliefs. So I want to sell Dr. Squatch. Actually, I had a meeting with, because I'm almost at 100,000 subscribers. I had a meeting with a YouTube partner manager. I don't know what they're called, but at a certain level on YouTube, you get a partner manager, and we were talking about I'm going to start getting offers from companies to do advertisement for. And I was like, I got two pretty good like write-ups for ads. I'm like, I will do an ad for Dr. Squatch, and I'll definitely do an ad for manscaping, because Dogman and Bigfoot, they need smooth balls too. So Dogman and Bigfoot need smooth balls. There's Manscaped, Dr. Squatch. Gotta wash those smooth balls, so use the Dr. Squatch. Ugh. All right. I seriously need help. I'm terrified out of my mind. So I will start off by saying I've never believed in anything paranormal. I'm science-based. I always look for a logical explanation, and here's my encounter. I don't have much time for leisure with work recently. Been having to accept some pretty awful shifts to get by with the vid times. So I've lost my ability to go on evening walks, which are a method of stress relief for me. It had been a while since I had gone on one, so 3 nights ago I decided to just take a night walk. I put my headband flashlight and decided to take the path I hadn't in ages. There's a small trail near the back of my neighborhood that goes for about 4 miles into the woods. My plan was to walk about 1.5 miles in and take a parallel path to come back. It makes it down to about 1.3 miles, according to Fitbit. I start getting the feeling I am being watched. I turn off the headlamp and sit and listen. At this point, I'm more concerned there is a guy following me who is up to no good. I heard clear footsteps in the leaves off the trail, and they had been behind me for nearly 5 minutes. I stopped thinking it was an animal or another walker and became worried. Sitting there for 3 or 4 minutes, and I hear nothing at all. I turn back on my headlamp and I start walking quickly back home. 2 minutes later, I hear the footsteps again. This time, it sounds different. Sounds like it's 4 feet instead of 2 feet. And it's walking at the same increased speed I am. I turned around quickly with my headlamp and my phone lamp and pointed it behind me. Silence. I get angry and yell out, "Leave me alone. I'm going to call the cops. And if you come at me, I have a knife." Silence. I yell again to get the F out of here, and I start walking towards where I heard the walking, about 20 yards out. Hard to fully make out because the flashlight doesn't reach that far. I see what looks like literally a naked dude running full speed on all fours into the woods. Normally, I chalk it up to a guy on drugs, but my area doesn't have too big of a drug problem, and there are some details that lead me to believe this was not a person. For one, they were damn near hairless, completely bald, pale white skin, and the way it ran on all fours looked natural. They used Manscaped. Not like when you try and run on all fours and you look stupid. It looked like its bone structure was designed for it to walk on fours. There was no hunched look. Their back was flat and they were fast. Last thing that happened was straight out of a horror movie. I hadn't heard anything in a while on my way back, but kept turning around to see. Just about 0.3 miles left to go until I was in the clear. I hear a mad dash running through the leaves. I whip around and it stops on a dime. I see the edges of its head behind a tree and I yell loudly to try and intimidate it. What I heard next I will never forget in my life. It cackled like a monkey, a noise I have literally only heard on nature documentaries. The tone was that of mockery, a predator having fun with me. I did not stick around. I sprinted as fast as I could back home. I'd love to believe this was some prank or some rabid, bald, diseased coyote. But I got a pretty clear look at it, and it wasn't. It had human feet and human hands, a human head, and a human buttocks, but nothing else about it was human. I called the cops either way and told them about this man following me. I didn't want to say some creature because I didn't want them to think I was crazy. They didn't find anything, but they did see quite a bit of activity in the leaves and dirt about 90 feet from where I was. Damn. Crawler. Oh. What's up, Pity? This happened 14 years ago. My boyfriend and I went to a graveyard one night because he had to tell me a story about he had seen something there. He didn't really want to take me, but I insisted. He said that he had heard stories about the place, and if you go there and sit every night, you will eventually see it. He said he had finally seen the thing himself on the third or fourth consecutive night he had visited. It was man-like in gray, but he had only caught a glimpse of it and never went back after. I remember him saying he had car trouble when it also appeared. Well, I couldn't resist. I wanted to see it myself. On the third night, when we saw it, we were sitting in the dark with the moon being the only source of our light. Man, were we dumb. And we both suddenly got creeped out for the first time since we had been visiting. We changed our minds about the whole thing and decided to leave and never come back. But lo and behold, my car, the car that I've never had trouble with before, would not start. My boyfriend was driving that night and kept trying, and it did eventually start up. When the flashlight came on at full force, we saw it standing right there. Or when the headlights came up full force, we saw it standing right there in front of the car. It was 7 feet, gray. In fact, it looked like it was a moving statue to me. It was kind of bent over, just looking into the windshield at us. We were freaked the hell out. Finally, it shifted, and when the car started, the thing darted off to the left so quick. I knew that if it came to the side of the windows, we would both be dead within minutes. It was so fast. But it just stood there on the side of the car watching us as we drove away. The cemetery was laid out where gravel road, old country cemetery, went around the whole graveyard in a circle and looped back around so the entrance was also its exit. We were spinning tires and slinging gravel the whole way out. When we passed this thing, it had not moved. It was just standing, watching us go around this gravel circle and letting us leave. But it was looking directly at me, the passenger side of the car. I couldn't really make out any features because it was dark, but I was overcome with the most severe depression I had ever felt in my life in that moment. When I'm looking back at the thing, it was like everyone and everything I had ever cared about in my whole life was burned right before my eyes. A pain and hurt was almost tangible, and it took my breath away. That night, when I was home finally able to get to sleep somehow, I had a dream that that thing was calling me from the graveyard, begging me to come back. It was harmless and miserable, stuck in that old cemetery forever. It was alone, so alone. When I woke up, I was determined to go back and find the creature, but before I could even tell my boyfriend, I got calls from him and his two best friends. All three of them had nightmares where the thing had brutally murdered or mutilated me. The two girls who called me didn't know anything about the graveyard incident from the night before. It was so late when I got back home, I didn't tell anyone about it. Just went to bed. My boyfriend dreamt that I had gone back to the place because I felt too bad for it. So he drove me out there. When he got there, he found the thing had ripped me apart, tearing me open. For a long time, I had dreams about it, saying, I won't hurt you. Please come back. I am suffering. The pull isn't strong anymore, so I guess it's fading with time in kids in the adulting business. But I do think about it often after getting married and having my own kids. I don't know. It would be dumb as hell if I ever went back and listened to that little nagging voice. It had a muscular physique, no genitalia. Its eyes were completely black, no iris or pupil, just black, inky nothingness. I've been searching all these years, but only pics I have seen that looks remotely close are things called crawlers or rakes. Best way I can describe it. Thank you. That's not a knife. This is a knife. Greatest movie ever. Crocodile Dundee. I didn't know there was a third one. That's a movie you don't want to make a third one. The second one kind of sucked. First one was amazing. Second one was all right, but I couldn't see a third one. That's a goddamn bloody good Australian accent. Put another shrimp on the barbie, would you, Jack? Simone, I speak fluent Australian. Crikey! Well, why in America, they had Crocodile Dundee saying, put another shrimp on the barbie. Not prawn. Put another prawn on the barbie. Or I'll play it for you. God dang it. Crocodile Dundee, put another shrimp on the barbie.
Crocodile Dundee put another shrimp on the barbie.
Here we go.
G'day. Thought I might be able to see America from up here. You're just across the Pacific, you know. Hello? Looks like a boatload of your countrymen coming in there now.
Countrymen coming in there now.
And a plane load.
Plane load of them.
Better fill the icebox. And fire up the barbie.
Fire up the barbie.
Aussies like to make you feel at home.
What's Aussies?
G'day, viewers. I've just been telling the Yanks how Australia is the best place for a holiday.
Holiday?
The friendliest place on earth. Beaches are crisp and clean.
Whoa!
It's cold. And there's plenty of shrimps on the barbie.
Shrimps on the barbie!
Make sure everyone smiles.
Crikey!
To rent out the spare bedroom or anything. Just flash the pearly whites and say good day.
Your teeth are yellow, Dundee.
G'day.
Good day. With your yellow piss teeth. Crikey. Telling me his teeth are fucking white. They look like I pissed on his teeth, for God's sakes. We'll call him old piss mouth. Those goddamn feral kitties. Give them a little kitty nip. Or have the bunny nip get them. God damn it. I've been good, Armando. How about you? Those are sea monkeys, Simone. They're sea monkeys. They're not shrimp. They are little baby fucking water monkeys. They're not shrimp. They're not called brine shrimp. They are sea monkeys. Sea monkeys. No, not yet, T. Chambers. They're not krill, goddammit. They're fucking sea people. They got little people, little tails. I had my own sea monkeys. And I named one Simone. I'm going to fucking buy sea monkeys now. And I'm going to fucking name them. I'm going to name them all you guys after you guys. There's going to be an Andy Davis, a Celtic John Summer, a Tyler 420, For God's sake. Guitar 87. SDL. No, they're definitely not mermaids. They are just little sea monkeys. I love them. They like it when you pet them, but you got to be careful because you'll smush their little fucking heads. As far as I know, the creature has never tried harming me, but it has oftentimes made me feel unsafe and threatened. As the years have passed, I began paying less mind to it and just putting the feeling in the back of my mind. Crikey! January 2012. I bought a horse and I began boarding it at a very old barn. It was small, tight-knit, friendly barn community, not far from my home. I've already shared this one. Fuck you. I'm not sharing that one again. I hate that story. Crikey. You know what happens? They see the fucking thing on the trails. They scare the horse. The old barn owner dies. They go to a different barn. They see it again. They get some sea monkeys. They put the sea monkeys in their ass like Richard Gere with a gerbil. Sea monkeys do ride seahorses, but they're particularly fond of sea dragons. I'm glad that you're here, Armando. Brass monkey, do the funky monkey, the brass monkey. No, that was not Elton John. Ooh, that's a good name for a fucking sea monkey. Sir Elton John. Periodically. What's that fucking guy in The Boys, though? There's that perverted Aquaman in The Boys. I've caught him doing bad things to sea monkeys before. For some background, I live in the California foothills. My parents and I moved into this house from the city late 2017 that had been sitting empty for over a year. The day we moved in, my mom and I arrived first to clean it while Dad and my brother drove the moving truck. Right off the bat, I was uneasy, but I tried to write it off. The property felt heavy, is the only way I can describe it. Some people will describe it as being watched inside their home, but I had the feeling anytime I stepped outside the home. We were going to sweep and mop the floors, dust the baseboards and the windowsills when I started to notice a white granular powder along the baseboard and windowsills and doorways. I immediately told my mom, who told me not to worry about it, and swept it up. By the time I had swept it up, every room was cleaned, the windowsills. I was certain that it was salt, and there was a lot of it. But fine, whatever. People that lived here before were superstitious. I can only live with that. We unpacked the truck over the next week. I was setting up my room when the next bizarre event happened. Knocking on the windows. Always quick raps that sounded like someone knocking with their knuckles. It would happen so often on all the windows in the house. But when you would turn, no one would be there. You'd go outside, no one would be there. This only escalated. My brother and I would walk the dogs around the property. They were older, small dogs who were always good-natured and calm. Except when they were outside of the new house. They would growl, puff up, and get extremely agitated. They hated being outside. Then we started finding animal carcasses. There was always small creatures, rats, toads, bats, and the biggest we had ever found was a raccoon, gutted. A single deliberate line right down its torso, starting at its chest and ending at its rear. No internal organs left. It looked particularly mummified, like something had sucked the fluid right out of it. It was the most bizarre and brutal thing I had ever seen. My brother would stay up late in his room playing on the computer. He liked to game with his friends until the early morning hours, and he does not spook easy, but more than one occasion I would wake up to him shaking me awake, terrified, saying something massive on two legs was walking around the house. And went by his window, which he kept open at night. He said it would walk right up to his bedroom window and stop. And when he would look toward the sound, he could hear it scramble away. I never saw it with my own eyes, and neither did he, but the motion lights outside would be activated every single time. leading toward the woods near the back of our property. I know you're probably thinking all of this is up to this point can be explained rationally. Crazy person living in the woods, some neighbor messing with you guys. Well, that was what I told myself too, so I could sleep a little easier, right? Then the banging started. It was so loud, and it would sound like it was coming from everywhere else. The walls would vibrate, picture frames rattled off the wall. It was like something massive, stronger than a crazy person, was pounding on the exterior walls of the house. Always late at night, always in more than one place. I could never pinpoint the source directly. My brother and I would stumble out of our bedrooms petrified. My mom would lead us into her room where we would stay at night. My dad would walk the perimeter with his pistol, but never found a thing. No footprints, no people, nothing. This happened for 6 months, I'd say, and every time a major thing would happen, my dad would walk the perimeter with his pistol and rifle and come back with nothing. We felt like we were going insane. Then suddenly it just stopped. The mutilated animals stopped appearing. I stopped feeling like I was being watched every time I went outside. The dogs stopped being on edge anytime I took them out. And the property itself, well, it got lighter, like it finally took a deep breath after holding it in for so long. I generally have no explanation or even a clue as to what this creature could have been. Entity, I don't even know. Thank you. All right. Last lot lizard story of the night. What's up, Wilburn? I was thinking that, Sonia. I was thinking that. Oh. The fluorescent hum of the midnight Oasis truck stop usually cast a dull, predictable glow over the diesel fumes and the idle chatter of interstate's weary warriors. Lizo, reigning queen of the asphalt kingdom, knew every pothole in the lot, every shift in the wind, and every secret sigh of a lonely trucker. Her domain was her solace, and her customers were rough-honed subjects. Tonight, however, the air tasted like static and cheap cologne, a weird, unsettling tang that even Lizzo's custom blend of confidence and chaos perfume couldn't cut through. Lizo, a woman built like a monument of self-love and packing enough sass to fuel a small city, was just finishing up a friendly negotiation with Big Ben from Nebraska when she saw it. Not an it, but a them. Them, three of them, lurched out of the pre-dawn gloom, not from behind a parked rig, but seemingly through the air itself. Clowns, not the cute balloon animal kind. These were nightmare plucked from the deepest, most twisted carnival. Their suits were too bright, their faces too white, stretched into ridiculous grins that split to reveal rows of unsettlingly sharp teeth. One of the hulking brute in purple dragged a rusty axe that whispered against the asphalt. Another, a weary thing in green, clutched a string of human teeth. The third, a skeletal figure in red, carried nothing but an unnerving high-pitched giggle. These weren't from outer space clowns. No, these were demonic, human-hunting sideshow freaks from hell. And Lizzo's gut clenched. They began their macabre dance, not immediately attacking, but toying with the truckers. A silent, terrified scream from the rig near the fuel pumps. A sound of air hissing from tires, followed by a maniacal laugh that seemed to echo inside your skull. A trucker, half asleep and reaching for his coffee, found a severed finger in the cup. Panic began to ripple through the lot. Truckers scrambling for their cabs, fumbling for keys. Lizzo watched, her brow furrowed. This wasn't some local prank. This was wrong. Then she saw them converge. Earl, sweet, simple Earl, polishing the chrome on his beloved rig, the Thunder Rouser. Earl, with his gentle eyes and the way he always brought her a chocolate bar from the gas station, even when she didn't need one. Earl, her one true love in this wild, transient life. The purple clown blocked his path, axe raised not to strike, but to be a menace. The green one circled, its sharp teeth clicking. The red one's giggling intensified, a sound that drilled into Earl's ears, making him visibly flinch. Earl, bless his heart, tried to stand his ground. A wrench clutched uselessly in his hand. That was it. Lizo felt a fire ignite in her soul, hotter than 1,000 diesel engines. Nobody, and she meant nobody, messed with her Earl. Not in her watch, not in her truck stop, and certainly not these abominations of the netherworld. Hold up, you sorry excuses for a paint disaster, Lizo's voice boomed, cutting through the chilling giggles like a hot knife through butter. She strolled forward, her every step radiating an unapologetic fury. Truckers peered from their cabs, eyes wide as saucers. Lizo reached under the counter to get out a makeshift outdoor office, a converted toolbox on wheels, and her hand closed around something solid and weighty, her sacred weapon, the tire iron. Blessed by God himself, or at least by a very enthusiastic traveling preacher who once mistook her for a particularly devoted choir director. The clowns turned, their painted grins faltering with fraction. They clearly had to account for the force of nature. All right, listen up, Buzzo, Itchy, and Scratchy, she began, pointing the tire iron at the purple clown's chest. Y'all picked the wrong lot, the wrong night, and damn sure the wrong man. This here's Earl. He's a good man. He pays his taxes, he tips well, and he's mine. Her voice dipped, dangerous. And if you think you're going to scare him or lay a single hand with your freakish fingers on him, you got another thing coming. The clowns, recovering from their momentary surprise, snarled. The red ones giggling ratcheted up, a sign of their re-emerging confidence, perhaps even amusement at her audacity. The purple one swung an axe in a slow, threatening arc. Oh, you think you're funny, Lizo scoffed. Her eyes rolled. Honey, the only circus act around here is you three walking cadavers. Now, I'm going to give you two choices. Either you pack up your little freak show and hightail it back to whatever hellhole you crawled out of, or you meet my friend Patty. She patted the tire iron. Patty here is a firm believer of tough love, and she don't play nice with clowns. The purple clown lunged, axe whistling. Oh, damn it. Axe whistling through the air. Lizo, with the speed that bellied her stature, ducked in a flash of righteous anger in her eyes. The blessed tire iron came up, not with a clang, but with a sickening thwack that resonated deep in the air, connecting to the clown's knee. The creature stumbled, its unholy grin morphing into a genuine snarl of pain, a crack like an old bone split at night. This wasn't just metal or flesh. This was something more profound. The green clown shrieked, darting in with its string of teeth. Lizo met it head on, swinging that tire iron in a wide, wild, sweeping arc. It connected with the clown's midsection with the force of a wrecking ball, sending that creature skidding across the asphalt, leaving an oily, unnatural stain, its string of teeth scattering like unholy pearls. The red one, its giggling, now a shrill, desperate sound, trying to leap onto her back, and Lizo spun like a hummingbird and brought that tire iron down by herself. It struck that clown's head. The unholy creature exploded into a puff of foul-smelling black smoke and shit and glitter, and finally, fading giggle echoed like into the nothing. The remaining two clowns, injured but bewildered by the unexpected force, looked at each other, then back at Lizo, who stood there, breathing heavily. The tire iron was resting casually on her shoulder. Her eyes dared them to make another move. The purple clown limping badly and the green one clutching its side, endangered a look that spoke of pure, unadulterated fear. They had faced armies, tormented souls, but never a woman with blessed tire iron and a full heart of furious love. With a final guttural snarl of defeat, they dissolved not into smoke, but simply a fade like a bad dream remembered in a harsh light day. The truck stop went silent, save for the nervous cough of an engine that was now a slow creak from the cab door. Lizo swaggered over to Earl, who stood frozen, his eyes wide. She reached out, gently prying the useless wrench from his hand. "You all right, baby?" she asked, her voice soft. Earl just nodded, his lips moving soundlessly. He looked from an empty space where his clowns had been. To Lizo, then the tire iron, which seemed to hum faintly in the pre-dawn light. A small crowd of truckers spilled out, their faces pale, newfound awe. Big Ben from Nebraska whistled low. "Lord of mercy, Lizo, what in blazes was that?" Lizo winked, a sly grin spread across her face. She patted Earl's arms, then surveyed her domain, now cleansed of demonic pests. "Just another Wednesday night at the Midnight Oasis, honey. And a reminder, don't ever mess with the Queen's wig. Especially when she's packing the good Lord's tire iron." She tossed the blessed implement in her toolbox, clatter echoing through the newfound peace. It slightly bewildered truck stop. The sun was beginning to rise, painting in the skies of hues of orange and pink, promising a new, slightly more legendary day. God damn, I'm tired. Oh. All right. I am crashing, guys. I am fucking beat. Guys, thank you for hanging out with me on another Saturday. I like lambs. Lamb chops are good. Lamb chops are real good. Good night, Penny Roller. I am literally right now thinking about cuddling up in my bed with a popsicle and Tigger and passing out. Oh, gotta have a popsicle before I go to bed, though, because I'm a fucking weirdo. Delirium, it was good seeing you tonight. I'm glad that you're still with us here. Orion, I've had many stories on my channel of that. Joseph, Canyon, or Eli, how are you, my friend? All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. Sorry, I got real tired at the end. Holy shit. I was like, nah. But thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next week. Remember, no, lime popsicles. Lime. Remember, Monday morning, the upload is going to be a deep dive on the Cynocephaly. A true deep dive. One with information that is not out there on the regurgitated bullshit ones that we hear. So, love you guys. Have a good night.